The Joe Rogan Experience.
Dude, I tell you, I support all the trans rights and everyone doing all this stuff. The only thing that I ever go like, that doesn't seem right, is with athletics.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only thing where I feel like, it's not that I don't feel like someone should be able to play any sport and compete, but like when a dude transitions to becoming a woman, and is like, I play basketball now. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. You have the right to live your life and play, but like, you have all those skills that you developed as a man, and now you're playing against frailer, smaller, you know.
Yeah.
Like that, to say that like you can't bring that up, that's offensive, is ridiculous to me.
Well, especially when it comes to fighting.
Fuck yeah, man.
That was the big one. And that was where I really understood like how bizarre and
the
how
defenses
cult,
for that?
Yeah. How cult-like this ideology is.
I'd like to see you transition to a woman and fight women.
It'd be a lot of fun.
Fucking to have what, 12 murder charges? That would be the fun part?
It doesn't make any sense.
No, of course not.
The bone structure is so different, and people that deny that are fucking crazy.
I know. That is silly, man.
It's
or like,
different.
what if I like transition, whatever, anyone, a man, and does powerlifting?
Well, people have done that, and they're winning and breaking all these records.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
And why are we not stopping being like, that doesn't
Because
count.
we want to save people's feelings.
Exactly.
And
silly.
What's really fascinating is in the process of being super progressive, you go towards the most maligned section of society, which is like transgender people. And so everybody else who also has been marginalized by society, like women, women get put on they get put in a less protected category than transgender women.
Right.
So a man becomes a more protected class of woman than a natural born woman herself.
That's very interesting.
It's crazy.
It's very true also.
Yeah, it's crazy because all these women that got beaten up by that man who became a woman who started fighting in MMA fought two women before ever disclosing the fact that she used to be a man because she said it was a medical issue that had nothing to do with them, which is just shows you how completely insane the logic behind all this is.
Does she still fight this?
She hasn't in a while. But now everybody knows. She lost to a woman. Who,
She did?
Yeah, an actual woman who wound up... yeah, I said actual. Fuck off.
Yeah.
People are like, what? Did you say actual
but
woman?
That's
did you
wild.
say that? What did you say?
But that's wild, right? That a woman beat
She's
this
not
woman?
good. No, she's not good.
Because she's not a good fighter.
No, she's just strong.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing... You don't look at her and think like, oh, she fights like Chris Cyborg or she boxes like Clarissa Shields. No, she's not that unbelievably talented.
Right.
She's just physically way
Super
different.
strong, yeah.
She's a fucking man.
Yeah.
She's a man for 30 years.
Yeah.
Had children. This was when I knew it was crazy. I got in a conversation with someone and online where this woman was like, she's always been a man. I go, even when she got another woman pregnant and had children with her. And she goes, yes, even then.
She was a woman.
She was a woman. She was a woman that fucked another woman and got her pregnant.
Okay.
What?
Just hang up.
What?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I know.
Like, this is so crazy.
You got to tap out of those conversations.
Like, even Bruce Jenner, when he transitioned to Caitlyn Jenner and then eventually got his surgery, right? Or her surgery, she said, even before the surgery, though, it didn't change anything. I was always 100% a woman. Okay? Then why get surgery?
Well, because you're thinking that gender is just with genitalia. That's your mistake. You personally.
Oh, okay.
And that's the
What
mistake.
is it?
It's gender's not just genitals, it's in your mind.
Right.
So
it's also like facial reconstruction.
That's why you just said something fucking stupid, and I just let you know how dumb that was.
So what is the difference? Someone said that there's gender and then there's biological sex, and that gender is the operating system and biological sex is the hardware.
100% agree. Yeah, makes sense.
Outrage over transgender female weightlifter who destroyed her rivals by hoisting 19 kilograms more than the runner-up. Now she's a contender for the Commonwealth Games.
That's
yeah. Guess what?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Look at the size
what
of her.
What the fuck, Laurel?
She's a goddamn gorilla.
So
Made her
picked up.
international weightlifting debut in Melbourne.
It's about
on
40
Sunday.
pounds more than the second place person.
Yeah. What in the fucking holy hell? Oh my
yeah,
God. And look at the
that's her.
size of her.
Fuck.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you're a biological woman who's been training and working hard all her life?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have to compete with this?
And you're like, I'm first place,
Yeah.
bitch. Like,
And she's giant. Like, look at the
Yeah.
size of her head, her formerly male head.
yeah.
That's a giant woman.
That's just a way to get medals.
Well, it's sandbagging.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of it is.
That's fucked up, man.
That is what a lot of it is.
That's not fair.
And people don't want to
That's not
admit that.
fair. Yeah.
Sandbagging, if you don't know what it means, is like you would get that in martial arts tournaments. Like, say you would have a tournament, and the tournament would be like for blue belts only, which is
Yeah.
like one rank above white belt. And then guys would be like a black belt in judo, and they would enter into the blue belt division and
yeah.
stomp everybody.
Right.
And
Because
you're
they're like, I don't have
"Oh."
a belt in that yet.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's sandbagging. Like, you know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And everybody knows what they're doing. You see that shit, and you see there's a lot of that where people just want to win, and the way they can win is by competing against people that are not on their same level.
Sure.
If you don't think that people do that when they switch over from being a man for 30 years and then competing as a woman, and not tell them and just start smashing these
That's
women,
so
if you don't think
obvious.
there's something in that, then
Yeah.
you don't understand athletics.
Yeah.
You don't understand competition. You don't understand sandbaggers, and you don't understand the kind of people that wouldn't tell people about that in the first place.
Sure. Yeah.
But they don't want to look at it that way. They want to. Everything has to go through the filter of being progressive. So you have to err on the side of being the most open-minded, the most liberal, and the most progressive.
Yeah.
Which I'm 100% for. If women want to fight a transgender woman, if a
Right.
woman wants to, I think you should be able to ride bulls. I think you should be able to skydive. I think you should be able to do fucking bungee jumping. I think you should do a lot. You should be able to do a lot of ridiculous, crazy, dangerous shit. You should be able to do flips with BMX bikes. Why shouldn't you be able to fight a man?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't you be able to fight a transgender woman, a woman who used to be a man? You should be able to. If you're a man,
You're
and
signing up for it.
Yeah, if you're a woman rather, and you're 130 pounds, you want to fight a 130-pound, 100% man, no transgender, no nothing. If you want to do that, you
Yeah.
should be allowed to.
Yeah.
You should be allowed to. I don't advise it. I think it's a terrible idea for you.
Yeah.
You're
You're
gonna-
gonna get pummeled. Well, if it's a good fighter, you are.
There's just, what is this? What's going on here?
Bodybuilder.
What are you showing me, Jen?
It's,
Powerlifting.
Yeah,
shit.
the article says this person can't decide to compete as a man or a woman, and this is what they look like.
Well,
They
I could-
can't decide whether to compete as a man or a woman? That's what he used to look like on the left?
Yeah.
Fucking A, man.
And then, oh my God, he was super jacked. And now he is on the right,
Yeah.
and but he looks like he's still a man.
Says he hasn't transitioned yet. Still lives his life as
Okay.
both.
He lives his life as both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, this is where you're seeing that there's some of these fucking people have mental illness.
Yeah.
Like there was an episode of Radio Lab where this one guy, who's also a girl, switches back and forth, and under pressure he changes. Like he's Paul or he's Cindy.
And this is what? On what?
Radio Lab, it's a
Okay.
podcast, but Radio Lab is so fucking left wing, and I love them. They're amazing, but they're so left wing and so progressive that they are unwilling to note and even address the preposterous nature of this fucking person who's like, I just switched. Now I'm Cindy.
Right now?
Now I'm back to Paul. I'm back to Paul now.
In the conversation?
Yes, in the conversation. Like I just turned over. Like, oh, you did.
Yeah.
Oh, you're this special creature that can just go back and forth and switch genders. Or are you fucking crazy, Paul/Cindy?
Yeah.
We would never have violated Paige's wishes in this story. It's an unfortunate understanding. What did he pull up?
This was their note when they had to change the whole story, remember? They had to go back because they got mad that they misgendered them in the original podcast.
Oh.
How do they misgender if she goes back and forth?
They have to keep up at the moment?
Yeah.
So they misgendered how? Were they called her a him or him a her? Which one's the misgendering?
Some miscommunication was between the reporter and the actual person they were talking to.
Yeah, the person's fucking crazy. You can't just go back and forth and back and forth. Like, cut the shit. You know, I mean, this whole thing is just
Look,
preposterous.
The upcoming, they'll remove references to the name she no longer recognizes. Does that mean that afterwards?
Afterwards, she
was like,
decided to go full female. That's what happened.
What'd you
and
keep
so-
calling me Craig for, man?
So at one point in time, during the show, she switches. Like,
Come on, man.
I'm Paul now. Now
Yeah.
I'm back to Cindy. Cindy's light.
You cannot-
Cindy's happy. Cindy's loose.
You
Cindy
need
doesn't care.
Psychiatric help at this point.
At one point in time, here's the thing. You're not allowed to say that when it comes to gender. When it comes to anything else, if you like, oh, I recognize as a wood elf. I'm a wood elf. You know, that's how I identify.
Yeah.
I'm a sprite. I
Yeah.
should be in the forest flying around with the butterflies. Like, people go, oh, he probably has an issue.
That guy's schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's a guy who's built like Brock Lesnar,
Yeah.
who's like, you know, I've always identified as
Amanda.
a small, thin
Yeah.
woman
People are like, yeah,
who
it's
dances.
totally cool.
Yeah.
You should respect that.
Yeah, we should respect that. When it comes to gender
That's
is this
true.
weird thing that we allow all sorts of very illogical
Isn't that
behavior.
wild?
Like, yeah, like these 78 plus gender. But by the way, they're adding more. There's more. Like there weren't enough. There's more gender pronouns now than ever before.
But like, if it's a guy at a bus stop who's like, "I am the president," you don't go like, "Oh, we should respect the fuck out of that right now."
Right.
You're just like, "Oh my
He
god."
identifies as the leader of the free world.
Yeah.
We should address that.
No, you're supposed to be like, "Hey, stand over here." Don't get close to
Yeah,
that guy."
when it comes to gender, we give like a lot of leeway. We let a lot of things slide.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I think it's for good reason. I think the good part of it is that we recognize that there are people that really do wish that they were a woman and would like you to call them a woman, and why not? Let the guy become a gal,
Sure.
and maybe they'll be happier that way. And it shows, I guess it shows acceptance and kindness on our part to just allow that to happen.
True.
But the problem with that is it's a goddamn slippery slope, and a lot of this weirdness that's going on is people trying to control other people's behavior. And one of the ways they try to do that is try to get you to use words that they've made up.
Yeah.
This is where you're seeing how preposterous it is.
The number of pronouns is also just-
78.
I mean, I
until recently.
understand somebody saying like, "I don't identify." Like, I understand that concept. It's not
Right.
too hard to understand. But where it's like, I also have free reign on 100 words that you should possibly know to address me by.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you bothering everybody?
Yeah.
Like, is that what you get off on?
Well, you become special that way.
Yeah, of course.
You get special rights, special privileges, special attention. You get, it's just special consideration.
I'm trying to remember if my, I've had on my profile on Twitter for a long time. Like, if you read my first bio sentence, I'm a comedian.
Is this comedian Zimzer?
That's my pronouns, but nobody respects it.
Well, I didn't even know Zim.
Yeah, Zim is a big one.
It's I know Zer, Z-H-E-R.
Or Z-E-R, yeah. Zimzer, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are...
These motherfuckers. There's just so many. The fact that one of those guys could just become a woman and just enter into women's weightlifting competitions is
And
so
they would be
fucking
like, be
preposterous.
respectful. Don't bring
Yeah.
up the past.
She's a woman. She's always been a woman.
God, she beat the competition by an astounding 600 pounds.
Weird.
That's really crazy.
Yeah, beat the second runner-up by 40 pounds. No big deal. It's
Sure.
normal. Super normal. It happens.
No.
Everybody does it.
No.
We're gonna look back on these days, and it's gonna be an astounding sort of observation on mass thinking, like groupthink, like what happens when people are scared of expressing themselves honestly,
Yeah.
and expressing controversial points of view because of the time and the culture,
Yeah.
like what ramifications it has. Like, by the way, here's what's weird. And I don't know if it's good or bad. It's not a judgment call. But I know so many people whose children are now transgender.
A lot?
Yeah, like 5 or 6. Where
Really?
I didn't know any before. Like
All
when I
out
was
here?
growing up.
All in California?
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
Wow.
Well, one of them in Canada. But yeah, really important. What's this? Toronto Furies. Jessica Platt is a CWHL's first openly transgender player. Now, she used to be a woman. And now is a man? Used to be a man, now is a woman. And she's playing women's hockey? Okay. Fuck that. That's crazy.
I just gonna fuck people
This-
up.
yeah,
I
it's
know.
hockey.
Guess who's an all-star this year?
Yeah.
It's Jessica.
Yeah. Take that fucking mountain from the Game of Thrones. Put him in a skirt.
Yeah.
See how many people he plows over. Like, goddamn. human bowling ball.
Oh my god. That dude's so fucking strong. It's crazy.
It's just, if you're gonna play sports, there should be. Look,
There
are physical freaks that are women. There's no doubt about that. There's some women that are just physical freaks, and there's some women that also take steroids. That's another very controversial issue, because you have women that are ingesting large amounts of male hormones and changing their physiology, and then they also compete against women. But then there's women who are just women.
Yeah.
What about them? How about looking out for them? How about not letting them get their head smashed in by
It's
a man?
just not fair, man. That's really
not.
what it comes down to.
It's
just
not.
fair.
But it's also, it just shows you how silly people have gotten, and about how weird we are about looking at things, and that everyone is so, and because they don't really have a personal stake in the game. Everyone is so concerned about being viewed as being incredibly progressive and open-minded,
Yeah.
that they don't want to criticize us.
It's a really interesting point, because if you really put yourself in a competition you care about, say like it's important to you to win. Imagine yourself competing in something where it's important to you to win.
Yeah.
And they go, but then we're going to have this person in, and those are the circumstances. You'd be the first one to be like, fuck that.
Yeah.
That is not fair.
And those women get called bigots.
Yeah.
It's really strange.
Yeah, that is very strange.
Those women get like attacked online. Like there's a bunch of women that didn't want to fight that transgender man who became a woman in MMA, and they got called bigots and transphobe, and the transgender people, that community is like super aggressive about defending that intellectual turf, defending that idea.
See, that's an interesting place, is like where you go, because you have to have empathy for, let's say, this transgender person who's like, I want to compete. And you're like, yeah, you should be able to compete. But how is this circumstance fair to both sides, to those women that are ready
They
to
also
compete
want
in this
attention.
thing?
Part of the wanting to compete is also wanting attention.
Yeah.
And wanting everyone to know that you're a man who transitioned to a woman, and that there's a lot of energy in that. There's a lot of people that are paying attention to that. And anybody who says, no, that's preposterous, people, they want their privacy when it comes to these matters, and they don't want to be open to the ridicule. Bullshit. They want attention, 100%. It's why they're competing. It's what they're doing. It's why they're letting everybody know they're the first openly transgender woman. It's a lot of this is about, some of it is about transgender rights. It's about transparency and showing people how many of those folks are out there.
Sure.
A lot of it's about horseshit.
Yeah, there's a lot of attention.
A lot of it.
For you to sign up for that competition when you know what's what,
Yeah,
it's
well,
definitely attention getting.
especially things like powerlifting and MMA, like to deny that there's some sort of a difference in the male frame. There's also a lot of horseshit when it comes to like what actually happens to the body
Yeah.
during transition, and how much strength you lose and how much bone mass you lose. And there's a woman named Dr. Ramona Krutzik, I think that's her name, and they interviewed her, and she's one of the very few people that's been interviewed about this. It's an actual endocrinologist that's not a gender transition doctor, because that's what a lot of them are. A lot of the people that talk about these things and have these discussions about these things that are hashtag experts,
Yeah.
they're actually transition doctors. So they
Right.
have a vested interest in sort of expressing the ideology that there's no physical advantage, and that these women, once they have been under these hormonal treatments for X amount of years, they become physiologically a woman, and there's no distinction between them and a biological woman. But this one woman, Dr. Ramona Krutzik, she wrote an article for, I want to say it was either SB Nation or Bloody Elbow. I forget what it was, but they interviewed her. And she was saying, not only do you not lose bone density, but you maintain it because you're taking estrogen.
Right.
She's like, well, the idea is that like a man has more bone density, they're thicker, they're built different,
Yeah.
and that you would lose a lot of that in your transition to being a woman. But you don't lose the bone density because estrogen is actually what causes people to maintain their bone density when they're older, when they're women. Like that's one of the things that happens to women when they get older. You get osteoporosis.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is that your body doesn't produce as much estrogen as it used to, and so you have a lack of bone density. One way to heighten that is to supplement with estrogen.
Yeah, interesting.
So it actually maintains bone density.
So it's a good argument.
Yeah, but they're not the same as men. because they don't have testosterone anymore. And if they're not taking exogenous testosterone, they're definitely going to have a disadvantage against men. But they still would have an advantage against against women, rather. They'd have a mechanical advantage.
Of course.
But there's also a mental advantage. There's a reaction advantage. A reaction time is quicker with men than it is with women. Like, there's a bunch of weird 3D space recognition advantages that men have. It's like, and then there's the thing that people want to pretend that there's no difference between men and women. There's that group. Do you know about that group?
No, but that seems like so stupid to even entertain the idea.
No, this is a common thing among the most ridiculous of the progressives, is that there's no biological difference in the sexes.
What? What? How could anything support? That's so dumb.
But it is dumb. But it shows you how insane a lot of this thinking is that this groupthink, this mass progressive thought process, that they just accept things that are totally irrational and then repeat them as ad nauseum. Like, we played this one clip where it seems like it's a transgender woman to man who's saying, she was talking, there was a Jordan Peterson debate, and she was saying there's no biological difference between the sex, and I'd be happy to unpack that for you.
Oh, really?
Like, you'd be happy to unpack biology.
Sure.
And just
no difference at all in our biology?
It's not real.
Okay.
There's no biological basis in sex and gender.
What?
What? What did I say?
Is this an expert?
Are you a bigot?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Are you transphobic? Are you a bigot?
Is this an expert?
No, but she's teaching at a college.
Oh, that would fall.
But that's what a lot's going on. There's a lot of that going on in colleges where people are teaching unbelievably ridiculous shit.
I got to pee. Yep.
Go for
Sorry.
it, buddy. Go for it.